And I think it'll be good.
And we're back.
Running now.
And we're back. Survivor Hot Takes with me,
Hi.
Coach Drew, with no nickname today because I couldn't think of anything, and Emily, aka Lydia Stan, Lydia Chlamydia. I love her already.
Oh my God.
Do you think she's destined for this world, for this game?
She's destined. If she doesn't make it to the end this time, which, like, knock on wood, I've been tweeting at her at like every week, telling her I hope that you make it. I'm obsessed with her. But if she doesn't make it to the end this time, she will certainly come back next time, simply because of how iconic her tweets are. She's amazing.
She is amazing. I would say that she's she's very fast moving up the ranks of my Survivor crushes. It'll always be Hannah Shapiro one, then everyone else. But she's definitely already top 5 after one episode.
She's phenomenal. I absolutely live for her presence. I absolutely love like how she has like this incredible like little sister vibe, but also kind of like the blood of a like cutthroat killer. Like she's got something. I'm telling you, you gotta believe me.
I go Survivor crush, and then you immediately say, "Oh yes, little sister," and I'm like, "No, not like that."
For me, if she was my little sister, man, we would travel the world. I love her.
So we are talking to you almost a week after the 42 premiere. We were able to see each other for the premiere, and we've watched it. We've watched it twice since then, individually. And I would say that I love this season already, and I definitely preferred this season premiere over season 41's premiere. And I looked at both of those premieres through the lens that I was watching at the beginning. So like 41's premiere was amazing in my head at the time because we haven't had Survivor in a year.
Yeah, it's been 84 years.
Yeah, 82. And then we get 42's premiere, and I'm still looking at it from the lens of, we haven't had Survivor in a couple of months, but immediately I felt like this was different. And I hope that it stays different.
Yeah.
So
like whenever we're like,
thoughts on the premiere.
Like here's my thing, because like honestly I've been prepping for this like since like the day that 41 ended. I've been looking at the rumored cast, I've been taking notes, and like the first time that I looked at the 41 cast, there was very obviously like a few like front runners. There were people that like the internet was like swooning over, like like Ricard, Shan, yeah, and I love Tiffany just because teacher thing. But like whenever we get to 42, what I love the most about 42 already is that I don't think that there's like any like extreme front runners. They're all different and quirky in their own ways. Which like a lot of people are like, well, like what's the point? Like we can't even see people who are like who have already like destined for the title, but that's also kind of the point. You know what I mean? So I'm really excited to see like the fact that like everyone can kind of one up each other as this continues to evolve, Yeah,
So I agree with you. I agree with you, and it's funny because when we did the pre-show podcast on the Survivor buffs, I feel like the majority of the people on that panel had Chanelle as the winner based off of her pregame.
Yeah.
But even saying that, I don't think that there has been, like you said, a definite like someone that everyone is standing. I think that there are a fair few people that we're looking at as like, oh man, this person. Jenny definitely stands out to me as someone that didn't stand out at the beginning, like pre-show.
Yeah.
That after watching this episode, it's like, yeah, okay, I'm in. People like Zach, which we'll get to. Poor Zach.
He broke my heart.
I feel like and at least I hope that this season stays unpredictable, unexpected, and we can kind of we don't want these people online like, oh, this person definitely wins because of this. It's like, no, I want people to be on their toes about who wins. And if it's predictable from the beginning, which to 41's credit, I don't think that it was. It wasn't predictable.
It wasn't predictable, but it also wasn't like remotely obvious. Like I think that Survivor kind of has to teeter on that line of like wanting to root for every person in their own way, you know, and not that Erica wasn't a worthy winner because I loved Erica, but I mentioned to you one of the last episodes of 41. I was like, I haven't even seen Homegirl since like she broke the hourglass. Like that was the first time that I even saw her make a ripple. So,
Yeah.
which is like not at her. It's just
No.
that's how it was edited, you know? So
Yeah.
I think that, it is just so important to make sure that everyone is really well-versed and well-developed, you know?
Yeah. And I think what we're about to run into, hopefully, is we don't know how they initially had this season before 41 came out, but what I'm hoping is they went back and re-edited this season to make it more. I don't know. Let's say that there's a female winner.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that they went back and re-edited the season based off the backlash that 41 got.
Yeah.
And said, hey, maybe we should, not you don't have to make it obvious, but let's at least give these people, the proper screen time to so that people don't start GoFundMes for the person that comes in third place. I mean, go ahead.
I was just going. This wasn't related. I was just excited that I met Xander. I met Xander in New York last week, and it was like probably the most exciting moment of my life. He's equally as charming and lovely as he was on the TV show. So that was really cool to know that that they really stick out, and they're real people and they're really nice.
Yes.
Yeah, and kind of also going off of just the cast as a whole. I talked to you about this a little bit too. What I also really love about this cast is, it's the fact that they're all, I'm going to sound like Tyra Banks here, so forgive me, fiercely real, you don't see a bunch of really ripped, people who are elite in every single thing they do. You see, like I mentioned, like my little sister, you see a father, a stay-at-home dad, you see a college student, you see people where you can really put you can kind of get into their own shoes, and that honestly really inspires you to be maybe I could do that someday, or maybe I'm rooting for this person because of the things that we share, so I'm very, very passionate about this cast already. I'm obsessed with all of them. I love them.
I do too. I don't think, and I mean, if you were to look at Twitter, they love 17 of 18 people. And I guess we can get into that. The person at Twitter, at least liberal-minded Twitter, the only person that they don't seem to like is Tori. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Tori on this season. I enjoyed her pretty much in Sequester. But what are your initial thoughts on Tori?
Okay, so I think that I'm gonna go a little bit against the grain. I'm gonna kind of play the neutral ground. I think that she has potential. I think that the fact that she's a therapist does give her an edge in terms of conversation, but I think that in terms of execution in the first episode, it's just a little rocky. Who just goes up to a random Gen Zer and be like, have you had butterbeer, Harry Potter, it's like grasping at straws to try to relate to random people, but I mean, and even just keeping that on a baseline. The other thing is just I think that Stephen Fishback, I think said it best too. He's she was kind of gaslighting us too whenever she was telling us, she's I'm not looking, I wasn't looking for an immunity idol. I was just looking for tarot. But she also said that she was looking for immunity.
It was very contradictory in everything she was saying as she was going along the scene. That scene is one of my favorite scenes of the entire episode, is that entire scene. And the best part of it is when she gets back to camp and Romeo and Dre are just kind of looking at her
yeah, it was awkward. The shit, you could even pick that up on a TV set, which, I mean, typically, we can't always pick that kind of stuff up. But with that one, the tension, you could cut it with a butter knife. It was real. It was present,
Yeah. And, I guess to her credit, we don't see everything, but I guess to her credit, she was able to work her way out of that situation because, as we see, Zach goes home unanimously. But I don't. Go ahead.
I don't mean to cut you off. But like I do have a question about that. So I mean, so she did make a really a smart move at like squashing the beef with Drea, being like, hey, like let's join forces together and take out one of the weaker links, you know. But like, do you think that that is something that's gonna take the target off of her back for just one tribal, or if this tribe goes back to tribal council again, which is very likely statistically, do you think that that means that she's still going to be public enemy number one?
I mean, I hope so, but do I think that's the case? Who's to say? I would say that if she avoids going home the next time this tribe goes to tribal, I think she has a good chance at probably making merge, because she's escaped that. At that point, she would have escaped twice in a situation where she probably should have gone, which means that she has people in her back pocket to say, "Hey, let's do this," and for merge, whatever happens. But I would say, and this is my first hot take of the season, I guess.
Big moment.
If she survives another tribal council in this tribe pre-merge, she will make merge. We'll find out.
I'm nervous about what the next one's gonna look like too, because I mean, it just looks like guns are ablazing. Like there's like drawn at Tori, at Drea, Tori, at Drea, and then also at Roxroy, right? Because I feel like he might get crossfire.
Yeah, Roxroy. Yeah. First of all, awesome name, but I think he didn't get negative content, but the whole, oh yeah, I was, I'm all about work and this generation and this, that, and the other. And it's like, oh, that's so played out. I'm so tired of hearing about this generation, and I'm in, I guess, that older generation. I feel like Rockroy's a millennial, which I am. And I think he's talking about the younger generation in that aspect, and it's like,
yeah,
I don't really put much stock into it, but the fact that he was saying it, it's like, okay, you're not long for this world, and people have already started throwing his name out, which is bad.
And I'm going to throw my hot take in for the season, the very first one. Are you excited?
I am.
How excited?
Just tell me what the hot take is. God.
Okay, fine. I think that what's going to happen is that Roxroy is going to be the next one voted out. I think that that's what's going to happen between the Drea and Tori controversy. Somehow Roxroy is going to still come out as the main target. Call me crazy, but that's what's happening next episode.
Oh, I thought we would all make it to the merge this time. I can't disagree with that. I don't feel like that's a hot take, because his name is already getting thrown out.
What do you mean it's not a hot take?
I feel like it's not, because like if you had said it was someone like Romeo, yeah, I would have thought that was, because
Romeo at all costs.
I feel like there's nothing that tells us that Romeo is going home anytime soon. Mm-hmm. But there was content in this episode where it's like, wow, people are already thinking about voting out Roxroy. And yeah, he didn't get any votes. I mean, no one did besides Zach. But I do think that if Tori does play her cards right, even though Roxroy did kind of, he didn't want to vote out Tori, right? If I remember correctly.
I don't think so, no.
He wanted Zach out.
He just said he said okay, we're all gonna vote Zach, and he like Swati was like trying to have. I think like Swati was the one who put his name first, but whenever they started kind of floating other options, he's like, no, like it's just Zach, that's it.
Okay. Well, maybe like if they're on the same side, it could be a 3-2 type situation. I do feel like at some point this season we are going to get a proper usage of the shot in the dark.
I hope.
I think that's happening. I honestly thought that was going to happen this episode, but it will happen this season.
Yeah. I'm kind of glad that it. Yeah, I'm kind of glad that it didn't happen. Not like justice for Zach, because like, oh, his sweetheart. But like, I like the building up of anticipation, and like that 1 in 6 chance is like you never know when it's gonna strike, Mm-hmm. And I do think you're right. I'm hoping that it's gonna come back and like go like really, really far. And like coming maybe like mid merge or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be a crazy merge episode if someone played it
Yeah.
and it was accurate. So the main thing I want to touch on tonight. Well, first off, before we get to that, I do want to quickly discuss the Jackson thing. Thoughts before we move on to
Honestly, like, I mean, it was a very, very emotional episode. And
Marion crying. Like, got me. It got me, and then I thought, yeah, like I laughed afterwards because it's like, why am I crying over this?
Yeah,
But
well, it is emotional because I think that, like, I mean, Survivor does a fantastic job at really giving Jackson a really holistic shape, a journey, a great tribute to him, and really shows how far he's come throughout his transition, and just recovering from the loss of his mother. Like I think they did a beautiful job with the time that they had. I think that, again, like, kind of on the same level, like, they did everything that they possibly could with the knowledge that they had at that time. And I'm sure that Jackson just thought, like, was very confident, like, I'm going to be off of, of lithium by the time that we get there. I think he just honestly, innocently thought that, but by the time they were so close, he realized that it was too late. But Survivor did a fantastic job. I think that Jeff did a really great job at trying to keep that anonymity until Jackson was comfortable. They killed it. I think that, like, honestly, I mean, it's sad that he didn't make it further because he was really far up on my rankings. But
yeah,
I mean, I hope that he gets to come back some other time.
it's not funny, but the night before, Emily asked me, she had heard a rumor that Jackson was going to be medevaced or something like that. And I told her to bet that it was a fake.
You said, "Don't believe what you hear," and I said,
"Don't believe the internet."
What I hear, yeah.
Don't believe the internet, and she should have believed. She should have believed the internet.
But I'm glad that I did, and I didn't listen to you because with my fantasy league, he was going to be my number one pick, and I was too nervous. It was too much of a risk for me.
No.
But wasn't he on your?
No. I maybe was he
for my fantasy league? Yeah, he was on yours. You already lost.
I honestly picked Chanel and then just a whole bunch of randos. Like I could not tell you anyone else I picked. We do have a question, which I guess I do want to answer before we move on to what I actually want to talk about. But do we think that there's going to be an hourglass twist this season?
I hope
not. I hope not. And if they do it, I hope it's not a 2-part episode like they did before.
Of course she's gonna break the freaking hourglass. Like, it's the thing that's gonna protect her longevity for one more episode, Yeah. But what I do hope that happens is, like, if it's something very similar, where I forget, were they at like 11 at that point? I don't remember. Like, whenever they hit the merge, what I hope that happens is that it's a similar situation where they have to pick back and forth. There's one person standing, they have to send them to a different place, and that one person gets some sort of advantage or some sort of assistance in the game, whether it's like, you can protect one person, or like you can you get, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like a better advantage than that, but like protecting yourself, or something like that, where at least like it puts a little bit more of an edge on when you can use it, and like more choice. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So moving on to the amulets,
my favorite.
I actually really like this twist. I really hope they do it well this season. It has a lot of potential. I like the way they did it, as far as like the less in there, the more power that a specific amulet has. I think that if all 3 of them make it to merge, that's going to leave for some exciting gameplay and probably a few pretty good blindsides. And worst case scenario, they actually just work together at the merge, in which case, we didn't get blindsides out of that, but we get this cross-tribal alliance that somehow does well at merge. I think twist is much better than almost anything they introduced last season. I'm actually annoyed that they didn't introduce this one last season. So do you think that the amulet twist is going to live up to expectations?
I'm obsessed. And this is why. Because I felt like I was such an idiot because I didn't understand the point of the amulet advantage the first time that I watched it when we were in New York. And I was like, well, this is lame. Like, this is not promoting people to stay together. But then I realized that was the point. I was like, well, this is so lame. But I absolutely love it because I don't think there's any way in hell that these three are going to stay together. I think it's really going to help to push the plot and help them really make a lot of really tough choices, which is why we love Survivor. We love tough choices that help to define your fate in this game. So I think that what's going to happen is that we're going to lose at least one or two of them. But I really hope that there's one person standing so they get to keep the immunity. Honestly, even two staying together for a steal vote would also be really interesting to watch too.
Yeah, I think that is probably what we're going to end up getting is the steal a vote. I don't think it'll get all the way down to an idol. I don't think. But I do think that if they kept this twist moving forward, it inevitably will get to the point where we get an idol.
Yeah,
I absolutely hope that this is a twist that sticks around forever.
Between the three of them, between Drea, Hai, and Lindsay, who do you think would be the two who are most likely together for this to stay together for the steal vote? I know, because I love them all. Yeah, that's the hardest question.
Asking if Tori, if the previews are what they seem like, which is normally not the case, and Tori goes after Drea, and somehow Drea goes home, I'll answer then. But if I were to guess two of three, I don't know, Dre and Hai. That's literally just a guess. I have nothing to back that up.
No, I feel that. Yeah, Hai really surprised me too.
He bled everywhere and still survived the challenge.
Lydia just kept asking. Wait, can I bring up one more qualm that I have with a little qualm? The only qualm that I really had about the full premiere episode is that there wasn't a lot of room to show how these players had to use deception. So like Lydia was like panicking because like Hai was like dripping in blood and she's like, are you okay? Like you're really bleeding. Like multiple times she said that. And we didn't get to hear anything about how, like obviously she definitely had to return back to that because like you wash it off and you're fine, you know, like they didn't give any room for Hai to even talk about why he was bleeding or what got him to that point. And then they also, the summit situation, like did Marianne, Jenny and Drea, like, did they lie to everyone? And did they like say like, oh, like this is what happened at the summit, but actually like, or were they all honest? Like, I just wish that we saw a little bit more about how truthful they chose to be in these different situations, you know?
Yeah. I agree. And I mean, it wasn't, I won't sit here and say it was a perfect premiere, but I do think this is the premiere that we needed after 41 ended. I think that 41 left a bad taste in some people's mouths. Not really mine. 41 was what it was. Mm-hmm. But I think that this is the premiere that everyone needed as a collective.
Absolutely.
So, final thoughts on the episode and winner pick.
I'm truly obsessed. I think that the entire episode was absolutely fantastic. And I really, really like the fact that, again, like we just have so much diversity and a really, really rich cast with not just like different racial backgrounds and gender identities and all those sorts of things. I think that it's also just like where they came from and like their professions and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I'm really excited to kind of see how they continue to adapt and react to all the different things that they're going to continue to throw at them. So 10 out of 10 for me personally. I think that if I had to do a winner pick, I still have Mike Turner as my winner pick because typically first responders tend to do very, very well in New School Survivor because of their ability to adapt, react, and listen to people. So he's still my number one. We'll see how it goes. What about you?
Chanel's my, as I said on the Survivor Buffs pregame show, Chanel's my winner pick. If I were to pick anyone else after the first episode, I would probably say Jenny. I really liked Jenny. And if I were to pick a guy, if I have to pick a guy, who do we have? Not Jonathan. Jonathan's not winning.
I love Jonathan.
Yeah, Jonathan's fine. I'm not talking mess on Jonathan. Jonathan's not winning. I would say my turn. Yeah. Well, let's go with my turn. Yeah.
Or Omer. He might also be.
Omer's fun. He didn't get much content, but I really enjoyed it. So
yeah, definitely.
I'm very excited to see how this season turns out. I'll say that. I'm very excited to see it. I think I'm more excited to see who makes merge, because there was really nobody, maybe with the exception of no, that's not true, because they might actually make merge. There was nobody that I'm just sitting there like, they might not make merge. So I'm excited to see who of this crew that we have left ends up making it to the next stage of the game.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I definitely think that it's going to be something that will change accordingly. I don't think it's going to be a situation where they're going to keep picking off the weak links. You know what I mean? I think that it's going to get quick, fast. And really people are going to be on their toes this entire season. So I'm very, very, very excited.
Yeah, I am too. So, we will be we're moving this to Thursday.
Sure. Thursday's fine. At what, 10?
Or 9:30?
Sure,
I don't know.
We're
moving it to some time that's not right now.
Yeah, we'll say Thursday at 10. That's fine with me.
It's the Thursday at 10 for the rest of the actual season. We want to thank you all for tuning in. And throughout the course of the season, we'll have guests to talk more, all of our favorite guests we've had on in the past. And so thank you all for tuning in, and we'll catch y'all on the other side.
See ya.